So on one of my older videos, more specifically my Apex Legends on Switch video, I received a comment from someone asking if I only have the Switch as my console. And I replied that no, I have multiple consoles, I have PlayStation and Xbox as well. And in his comment, he was saying that someone who only has a Switch, basically that life must be difficult for a gamer if you only have a Switch, somewhere along those lines. And it got me thinking about this myth going around that Switch ports are terrible and not playable at all. And I want to talk about that for a little bit and go through a list of different games, third-party Switch ports that are actually not bad to play on Switch. Now, of course, Switch ports are not going to look as good as the other consoles, and in some cases, they may not play as good as the other consoles. One example I can give you right now is Outer Worlds. That game did get an update a few months ago to improve the frame rate and some of the graphics, but it's still nowhere comparable to the PlayStation and Xbox versions, and I believe the game doesn't play as well as it does on the other consoles. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through a list of games, Switch ports, to show you, the good ones and give you a brief overview of what's good and bad about those games. And this list won't be from worst to best or best to worst. It's just alphabetical in alphabetical order. So let's just get into the video. So we're quickly going to get the obvious ones out of the way, and those are any Wii U port that has been put on the Switch. This includes games like Mario Brothers U, Mario 3D World, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze, Bayonetta 2. You get the idea. These Wii U ports tend to be, really great and run really well. Pokken Tournament was another one. The only one that I don't think really worked as well, depending on if it was actually a Wii U port and not a 3DS port, would be Xenoblade Chronicles. That game just had a very low resolution, low frame rate. So that game just really didn't work out like it, like the other ports would. But when you look at these other Wii U ports, they're obviously going to run great considering that they are Nintendo first-party games and Nintendo is giving their full care and attention to porting these games over. Now we're moving on to the third-party games on Switch that I think actually run pretty well. And as I said, this list is going to be alphabetical order, so we're starting with Burnout Paradise. Now, I've heard a lot of people say that this game has very low resolution, but a solid frame rate of, I believe, 30 frames per second overall. And I can agree that, yes, it does have a solid frame rate. As for the resolution, it doesn't look that bad. It's not something that, you get used to over time. It just looks fine, especially coming from a game that I believe originally released back in 2008. And for a game like this to be focused on cars moving at really fast speeds, this game actually holds up pretty well. And not only does it hold up in terms of single player content, but it still has a pretty active multiplayer community. I was able to join a game pretty quickly with a lobby full of players where we could just drive around and crash into each other. As for starting events with these other players, I'm not exactly sure how to do it or if it's even a feature in the Switch port. I can only imagine that it is a feature, just something I gotta figure out how to do. But this game does run pretty well, and this game often goes on sale for around $20 anyway. So if you're looking for a solid racer that runs pretty well, whether it's handheld or docked mode, I say Burnout Paradise is an amazing purchase for that $20 sale price.
Today's best shows how your burnout skills rate against everyone else in the game.
Next up on our list is Dragon Ball Fighterz. Now, this game is probably, in my opinion, one of the best looking third-party Switch ports on the Switch. And it could be due to the fact that it is anime graphics, but this game just looks amazing and it plays amazing for the Switch. I haven't noticed any problems with the game in terms of frame rate, performance, online fighting, you name it. It seems to run flawlessly overall. And one thing that I do enjoy about this game being portable on the Switch is that whenever you're taking your Switch with you, you have an extra controller when you have the two Joy-Cons, or if you're bringing a controller with you, and you can always have someone to play with without needing any extra controllers from that person. This game is very two-player friendly. It runs pretty damn good, if you ask me. I don't know if the other console versions will look slightly better because of their 4K resolution, but I can't imagine this game getting any better looking than this for a portable system. And with the case of most of these Switch ports, this game also sounds pretty good. The characters sound amazing, the attacks sound amazing, the special moves sound amazing, the music is just amazing. Like everything about this game in terms of performance, sound, and controls is just flawless.
I've heard enough of your family and clan. Disrespect them at your peril. I don't fear you, ninja.
Round 1. Fight!
Alright, let's address the elephant in the room. This is one of the Switch ports that really doesn't look good at all. Another example that I might have mentioned earlier was The Outer Worlds. The Outer Worlds looks pretty horrible compared to the PlayStation and Xbox versions, and Mortal Kombat 11 is no different. This game looks pretty bad when you're playing it on the Switch in docked or handheld. But that's the only thing about it that's bad. The game actually runs pretty good. It's not slow or anything. It runs pretty solid. It's smooth. The only time this game ever showed signs of slowing down was playing online and possibly within the crypt. The crypt is one part of the game that also looks pretty bad considering that it is more of an open type of environment. But this game actually has really good controls. It plays pretty damn well. It has no problems in performance unless you're playing online mode. Now, speaking of playing online, it also didn't take too long to find a match in online mode. I was able to quickly join a King of the Hill match and was able to fight. My only problem is I think playing online modes when it comes to trying to get to the next fight does take a bit too long, but that's more so due to the player not speeding up the process. And I don't know about the other versions on PlayStation and Xbox, but when you do King of the Hill in this mode, you can't see the fight happening in real time. You can only see the health bar drop in real time. Like I said, I don't know if that's only for the Switch version or if that's on all versions of this game. As for stuff that was removed from this version of the game, certain levels has less detail in the background. There's one in particular where you're fighting inside of like a bar and there's a gate behind you, and behind the gate is a crowd of people. On the Switch version, there's only like one person back there. So little things they had to do to make the game run better on the Switch. Another thing they did take out from this version is if you play the game on other consoles and you choose your stage and your fighters, you will see the two fighters in the background fighting each other. That's not in this version at all. It's something to take away from the game that will not only make it run on this hybrid console, but also will allow it to run as smoothly as it can. And it's not a big deal at all. Are your ears okay? Pretty loud, right? Need for Speed Hot Pursuit Remastered is probably the best sounding Switch port game that I have ever played. The sound of the game, whether it's the music or the engine of the cars, it just sounds great. And not only that, but just like Burnout Paradise, since both of those games are by EA, this game actually plays really great. It has pretty great controls. The steering and handling is pretty good for the most part. This game, there's not much to say about this game other than how well it looks and runs. It was surprising for me because while, of course, it still looks slightly less impressive as it does on the other consoles, but for this port, it actually looks pretty damn good. Maybe some of the trees don't look too good, but the road looks good, the cars look good, the nitrous and everything, it just looks and plays really great. So this is another fun port that you can also get frequently on sale for around $20. And it's funny because both this game and Burnout are normally priced at $40, but when they both go on sale at the same time, which is often, you can get both games for the price of one. And I think that's a pretty damn good deal for any racing fan or anyone who wants to get involved in racing games. I don't think this game does offer any split screen though, but it does have a multiplayer mode. Unfortunately, I haven't tried it yet because I haven't progressed far enough in the game to actually survive an online match. But I can only imagine if Burnout Paradise has a pretty active online community for the Switch, this game may also have a pretty active online community. I don't think I have to say much for this one. It's Skyrim, and it's not really surprising that this game runs really well since the original game released on PS3 and 360, but just like all the other games on this list, it runs great, it looks great, sounds great, plays great, you name it, it does it pretty well. This game is a fan favorite of many, and there really isn't many issues other than the fact that I had this idiot standing in my house out of nowhere. But other than that, the game runs as you expect. It's same performance as always. It does look pretty good for the Switch, both handheld and docked. And it's still a lot of fun to play. Even after all these years, I'm still finding new things that I've never seen before. And the only problem I have with Skyrim on the Switch is that it's not really going for the price it should be going for. A game like this should cost only $20, but they're still charging $60 for this game, whether you get it digitally or if you can find a physical copy. I know physical copies are rare for this game, and whenever there is a sale on the eShop, it's only dropping down to $30, which I still think is a bit too much for Skyrim on the Switch. But if you want Skyrim on the Switch, you can get it on sale for $30. It has motion controls if you want to use that. It has all the DLC included. And it still has the same great story that's included with the game, of course, obviously. But Skyrim for the Switch is a no-brainer. I only wish that it cost $20 and that physical copies were more common than they are.
I know you. There's no mistake. You're a wanted man and it's time to pay for your crimes. Nah. Well, your bounty is low. Alright, get out of my sight. But you're known to me now, scum. Remember that.
So the reason why this game isn't in alphabetical order is because, for some reason, my capture card would not capture the gameplay of Doom Eternal. And you can't capture gameplay from the Switch on Doom Eternal since there are some Switch games out there that doesn't allow it, such as Super Smash Bros. So here I'm going to basically talk about both Doom 2016 and Doom Eternal on the Switch, just to let you know what you're getting with these two games. Now, similar with Skyrim, I do believe that Doom 2016 is overpriced. Doom Eternal may be a little bit overpriced considering that it is free on Game Pass. But what you get with these games is kind of a mixed bag between the two. Doom 2016 did seem a little bit stiff at times and also doesn't look that impressive graphically. And when you do a enemy takedown, there just seems to be no variety at all. As for the music in Doom 2016, it was almost difficult to even hear the soundtrack to even make out what the music was, sounding like. But Doom Eternal changes that with the Switch port. The takedowns have different varieties, the soundtrack is good, you can hear it, the gameplay is more smooth and fluid and quick, the controls are much better, and the graphics overall in Doom Eternal for Switch is much better than Doom 2016. And like I said, Doom 2016 is a bit overpriced for the Switch. That game should cost maybe $20 for the Switch port. Doom Eternal, I could see a $30 price for that game, which is what I actually paid for it. So I think if you are looking to get Doom for the Switch and you're not sure how it's going to run and look, Doom 2016 does actually play decent enough. It's not going to have any issues with playing the game. It's not going to slow you down. It's not going to make you upset with frame rate or anything. Just be sure to expect that there isn't much variety in enemy takedowns, and the game does seem a bit clunky at times. But Doom Eternal, if it is on sale, grab Doom Eternal on Switch. If you don't have Game Pass, if you don't have an Xbox or a PC with Game Pass, Doom Eternal on Switch is a must buy for any Switch players who want to get a Doom game. And if you want a cheaper option, all the other Dooms are on the Switch. Doom 1, 2, 64, Doom 3, they're all cheaper, they're all on the Switch. So if you want to get one of those games, by all means get one of those games as well. And here we finally are, the last game on my list, and it's also one of my all-time favorite games. Now, just like some of these other ports, The Witcher 3 on Switch does not look as good as it does on the PlayStation and the Xbox. It also does look better than some Switch port games, but doesn't look better than others. But aside that, considering how this is such a massive game that is playable on the Switch, both docked and handheld, and a lot of people will tell you you're better off playing the game in handheld instead of playing docked, because in docked mode you will see more of the graphical weaknesses as they claim. But honestly, I don't really think there's a difference between both game modes. Either way, you're still getting the same Witcher experience. You're still getting a similar resolution whether you're playing handheld or docked. It just won't be compared to PlayStation and Xbox. But the fact that a game this massive, maybe arguably a much bigger game than Breath of the Wild, is playable on Switch with all the DLC and everything included in it, that's pretty impressive. I would also like to add that the physical version of the game does come with some extra goodies, like some stickers and a map. I believe there used to be, back when the game released, they gave you a soundtrack of the game, but that's no longer the case here. But it's Witcher on the Switch. I can't really say more than that. Load times are normal. They're pretty quick. Controls are fine. You're still going to have your various glitches and bugs that are in all versions of this game. So the only thing that the other versions of this game has that's superior to the Switch version is the graphics. That's pretty much the only thing that they have over the Switch port. As I said, the whole point of this video is, if you only have a Switch, it's not that bad of a thing to do. There are all these options that you can play that are also on other consoles. You just have a bit of a less experience, a bit of a less graphical experience. But aside from that, there's so many more third-party games on the Switch that are out there, which they all have their own positives and negatives. I might do a list of games that I regret buying on the Switch, but for now, this is just some Switch ports that I believe run pretty damn good on the Switch. My last negative comment for The Witcher on Switch is that, just like some of these other games, it's still being charged $60 for a physical and digital version. There is times where this game will go on sale for somewhere around $40. It's still a bit too much for The Witcher, as the game is pretty old now. But if you want to play Witcher on the Switch, I think you should play, as we're calling it, Switcher. But that's my video for today. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed this really long video. And don't forget to leave a comment below to let me know which of these ports you actually enjoy, or what other games you want me to talk about that are available on the Switch. I'm Anthony Online Tech, and I will see you guys next time.